Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So we got our character up finally to the maximum level of 20. But how long does that usually take you? How long would you expect it to take you as a new player within Neverwinter? Well, I chose to level up a wizard, which is one of the more challenging classes, possibly along with the cleric, to get leveled up, as you don't have a whole lot of AoE damaging capabilities compared to some of those other classes. At least the potency of them isn't as powerful. Now this will put me more online with, let's say, a newer player who's starting out, who might not know so many things, and if they were to choose like a rogue, then it potentially would take them like the same amount of time. However, it could be more or less, especially if you decide you're going to listen to the narrative from the NPCs, the quest givers. If you decide to do that, then most definitely you could end up adding on at least a few hours to the time it took me. Well, in order to get to maximum level 20, you need to complete your leveling adventures, which are these following 6. Each of them will give you pretty nice rewards, and on average, at least for me, it took me about an hour per adventure, give or take 10 minutes. If we go and include character creation, then that can definitely add on a bit more time. Depending on the person, you might spend more or less creating that character. Now, moving on, you then have your tutorial, which you can actually skip a majority of it, and I'll go over very soon my top 10 tips for leveling within Neverwinter to speed it on. And there are definitely some parts you can skip, some things you can do to just overall make it a better experience, and otherwise just get through as quickly as possible. And that's going to be coming from a new player's perspective, where you don't have a whole bunch of items. Right now, I totally could have gone to my claims valuables tab and claimed a whole bunch of my account-wide stuff, but I didn't. I purely got the character with everything that you're given in the game. You are indeed given some seals of adventure, which you can spend on some leveling gear, which is this stuff just here. And we did, while leveling, purchase some of it, as it gives a little bit of an item level boost so that you're very close to the rate which you're going to get scaled. I did not join a guild or any of that. Many of those things I will go over in my tips video. They're definitely things you want to be doing to make your experience better, but if you're a new player, you might not know those things and you might end up taking as long as I did. So ultimately, yes, it took me about 6 hours to get this wizard from level 1 to level 20. So that is what you would expect as a more newish player. It could definitely take you longer if you haven't played a computer game before. Then you gotta struggle with, what the heck am I doing? How do these buttons work, etc, etc. Can definitely be a bit more challenging on that regard. I know for myself, Neverwinter was one of the first action RPGs I had played. Outside of that, it was maybe some car racing games and some shooter games, and this kind of style of combat was baffling to me. I thought most of it was just mashing your buttons, and it still is, but the order in which you do it and trying to avoid damage is definitely a significant part of playing this game. Now, once you have hit level 20, you've essentially just completed the extended tutorial. Leveling in Neverwinter doesn't mean much. All it allows you to do is unlock all of your abilities, which means that you can play your character to its maximum potential. You get your maximum amount of ability scores, and otherwise you do unlock a lot more content. But from here on, many things are locked behind item level. We can't jump into elemental evil because we don't have 24,000 item level, and there's a bunch more adventures there, along with then campaigns with recommended item level gates. And then you check with your queues. You can see these random queues, which is the main source for a new player for earning astral diamonds, the main in-game currency. You can't access them until you reach a certain amount of item level as well. You need 20,000 for the skirmish, 25,000 for the dungeon, advanced dungeon 35, and a trial 30. And that is where you proceed on from level 20. You need to try and get your main stats up along with your item level. your priority, number one, is the main stats, because these stats will dictate how well you can perform in combat. For a damage dealer, you want these 5 stats. For a tank, you want these 5 stats. And for a healer, you want power, critical strike, critical severity, and outgoing healing. And ultimately, item level will only matter to you as a new player to unlock and access certain campaigns, certain adventures. Outside of that, your random queues, everything will be scaled and item level will not matter at all. So when you're choosing what gear to use, you might look at the stuff you got from leveling and it's pretty garbage, but you might start getting some seals and being able to buy like this gear for the wilds, and you want to have a look at that gear and see which is good depending on your role. As a damage dealer, this headpiece is good because it gives me a bunch of accuracy. I might look at another headpiece that has a bit more item level and you might think that would be better, where in fact it is not, looking at this one in particular, because you have to kill an enemy and then you only gain that bonus for 10 seconds. And that's only 5% versus a 7.5% with a bonus that's pretty much going to last you all the time as long as you don't use all of your stamina. Those kind of things is what you're working towards when building your character after level 20. So again, it takes you about 6 hours to level your character up. You can do that in one sitting, you can do it multiple. I suggest spacing it out and don't get too stressed about all these new things. Take your time. Leveling is, again, like a tutorial. There's not much you can do wrong. Just follow your sparkly line. You can see it leads me off in that direction, and that is with my quest here under the mini map. And you'll be going well on your way towards being successful within this game. Overall, where this game shines, in my opinion, is the combat system, and once you've hit level 20, you can experience it to your fullest on your class, because you will have every ability to your disposal. The most unfortunate thing is your feats. You might want to have a look around at some builds and decide which one you want to choose there, because retraining them does cost a bit. You want to be getting these astral diamonds, and you may note from completing your leveling adventures, you do obtain a chunk of rough astral diamonds, and you'll see those in your inventory, this bag item just here, and in the coin section, and that's it just here. Rough astral diamonds. Every day you want to click that refine button until it doesn't let you anymore, because you can only refine 100,000 per day. Make sure and try and get that. And the best source for the rough astral diamonds is in the random queues here. There are other options as well, but none of them as straightforward as just going in the random queues. So what we'd want to do now is push for a bit more item level. Easiest option is to join a guild and activate these boons. That will give us a significant boost up, along with then just doing like Undermountain and getting higher item level gear. This adventure, you can immediately begin story on that, and that gives you your quest to then go follow. So again, about 6 hours to level up in Neverwinter. Recommend spacing it out. I personally did. I went through all the way to level 11 in one sitting, but then I spaced out going into Icespire Peak for one day, and then I went into the Chasm and the Whispering Caverns in the last 2 hours, and we were finished. Again, all of my recordings are just here, and you can see that they lasted about an hour and 26. That was including the tutorial plus the Velosk, which was 52 minutes. Then you have your Ebon Downs, which was just over an hour. Your Icespire Peak was 56 minutes, and your Chasm was 58, with the Whispering Caverns being 57. You can see all very close to the hour. Take out the tutorial or the character creation, and easily that's within 6 hours of runtime, and we max out our character. You can easily do it much faster, 4 hours, 3 hours. If you speed run it and run on a class that can perform really well like the Rogue, along with then getting account-wide items to really boost your progress by just wiping out groups of enemies like a click of the finger, and that can be so much easier. So again, I'd like to give a massive thank you to all of these channel members for the added support. If I presented this well, consider leaving the video a like, and if you're new around here, consider subscribing. We'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.